And then we're going to play two different games, a listening game and a tower game. So it should be a fun class today. Brittany's going to start.
So I'll give you guys these to follow along with.
Okay.
So have you guys heard the word contractions before? Or contraction?
So I just I forgot.
Yeah?
Alright.
Okay. So I wanted to kind of give you guys a way of remembering what the word means. So the verb contract means to kind of like get smaller. And you think of like muscles contracting, they kind of go like this, right? So they're getting smaller. And that's what happens to words when they contract. So you go from this big phrase, I am not, to this smaller one, I'm not. You take something out, so it's getting shorter. And this I-O and S at the end, this ending makes it a noun. So we take this verb, we put the I-O and S at the end, and it becomes a noun. All right?
Got it.
Okay. Is that good enough?
I think so. Pull it down, Marky.
Can you see, or do you need another one?
Maybe pick the other one off, and then turn the other, yeah. Is that okay?
Is that better?
Okay, so just so you guys can follow along. So, oh, actually, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Back up. Okay, so let's go over these really quick because I didn't include them on the handout, so you're gonna have to write them down. Okay, so these are the beaver contractions that are common in English. So for positive, like you, something you are versus something you're not, right? So like I am Brittany, something that I am. I could say I'm Brittany. You take out the A and you just squish them together, you contract them. You are turns into your. Yeah. She or he is becomes she's or he's. Right? It is becomes its, and this sounds just like its. Does either of you know the difference between its and its? Chise, do you want to explain?
It is. Is like my or your or something like that.
It's the possessive,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Okay, good. And we are becomes where. They are becomes there.
Yeah.
And she said you were in the homonyms class, right? And so we learned about there, and there. So they all sound the same, but they're all different. And this is they are. Okay, so for,
Those are the same sound?
they sound exactly the same, but they have different meanings.
Alright.
So there is like their cat, right? That's possessive.
Yeah.
There is the cat over there.
Alright.
And then they are students. So they are something. Okay, and then we also have the negatives. So just like with the I am, it becomes I'm, you have the I'm not. You are not, you're not. She is not, or he is not. She isn't. So instead of the it contracting the I and the M, or the she and the is goes with the not. So we cross out this O and we squish them together. It is not, same thing. You cross out the O and you squish the words together. We are not. So this one's similar. You just have are instead of is. And then they are not becomes there. Same like here. You just add the not. Okay? So that's not on the handout, so if you want to write them down, you can go ahead and do that now, or we can do it at the end. It doesn't matter. Or if you're just not interested at all, that's okay too. But we'll go through the rest of the handout now.
Why you cannot say I
you aren't, or she's not. What is different between she's not? Even she
can say that.
isn't.
You can say that, she's not, yeah. That's just another, it's the kind of the other way of doing it, right? So, and we'll talk about using she's and adding the s to kind of the pronoun when we look at the auxiliary verbs. So it's different usage, but kind of the same construction. So we'll talk about that too. But you're right, you can say she's not.
Yeah, I was going to ask it too.
Right. Yeah, you can say that.
Yeah, and then same thing with
are
same thing with
She
you
isn't.
aren't.
Can I say they
It's the same
Aren't?
thing,
You're not, yeah.
and they aren't.
Okay, so we kind of talked about what a contraction was. So it's just a word, a syllable, or phrase that's been shortened or contracted to make the pronunciation a little bit easier. And it just kind of, it comes out that way in natural speech. You'll hear native English speakers, and I'm sure there have been about 50,000 times I've already done it since I started talking tonight, where I've been using contractions because they're just easier. So they're really common in English, especially, like I said, in ordinary speech and informal writing. You won't see a whole lot of contractions in really formal academic writing, but sometimes they are necessary because otherwise your paper will sound really stiff and unnatural. So it kind of depends on the context. So this is what I was talking about with the auxiliary verbs. So auxiliary verbs are verbs that help other verbs. So like the phrase she is going, is the auxiliary verb in there. And you're right, she said, you go, she's going. That's how you make the auxiliary verb contraction there. So I have on this paper, he is, yep, you know that one. Yes. So like, yeah, let's think of another one. She is going, like Bryce was saying, you're eating food, you are eating food, you're eating food, the same thing. Other contractions, you can use them in relatively informal speech and writing. So we have I'd go, I would go. And she said, do you remember in the homophones class, homonyms class, you asked about I'd? So I'd, you can use it as a contraction with I would go, I'd go, or with the past perfect. So like I had been, I'd been there. So that's how you use the I'd. And this kind of, these contractions that are very informal, you might see these things called consecutive contractions. Now I can't find them up here. These ones, yeah, consecutive contractions. Those are things like, I wouldn't have. And I mean, contractions are supposed to make speech easier, right? But I really feel like that one just makes speech harder, so maybe just stay away from that one. That would be an example of a very informal use of a contraction. Do you have a question, she said? All right. And so in some languages, contractions are mandatory, but in English they're not. You can pretty much always use the extended form, but like I said, it kind of depends on context, and if you do use it, if you don't use contractions and you always speak in the extended form, you will end up sounding very robotic and unnatural. So in English, you can also use contractions to give emphasis. Like on the paper it says, I am ready versus I'm ready.